What is going on, guys? It is Alyssa back here with another episode of The College Vegetarian, and today we are making vegan brownies. So up until this point, our recipes have been just vegetarian, I'm pretty sure, but I decided to try out a vegan recipe. I went and tested a bunch of different recipes for these vegan brownies, and I found the one that I like the best. They're soft, they're chocolatey, they're everything that you could want in a brownie, but they're vegan. So let's get to it. To start off our ingredients, we're going to first need some coconut oil. This is just to grease our pan so the brownies don't stick later on. For our actual vegan brownies, we're going to be using avocado butter as our vegan butter replacement. And for our vegan egg replacement, we're going to be using a mixture of things. This is 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. And for the other part, we're going to be using 2 tablespoons of unsweetened applesauce. Now the flaxseed's going to be mixed with coffee, but that'll be listed later on. As for our other ingredients, we'll need 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 10-ounce bag of vegan chocolate of your choice. For this, I specifically used Enjoy Life Eat Freely brand in the semi-sweet mega chunks. So this is the espresso I was talking about earlier. We're going to be using a 1/4 cup of it to make our flax egg, and that's just going to be mixed in, and then 2 tablespoons of it is just going to be thrown into the batter. For our final dry ingredients, we're going to need 1 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 cup of lightly packed light brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. For this one I use Dutch process, but you can use regular. And then for our last ingredient, we just need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. We're going to set our oven temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius. Next, I'm going to start greasing the pan with the coconut oil. I would actually recommend that you do this right before you start to pour your batter in, because I had a little problem with sticking since I did this before I even mixed the batter. So make sure that if you do this step before you mix your batter, that you re-grease it before putting the batter in. To make the flax egg, just pour the ground flax seed that we measured out earlier into a cup or a bowl or whatever you have, and then you're going to pour in a 1/4 cup of the espresso that we brewed, mix it together, and then just let it sit. It needs to sit for at least 5 minutes, and that'll really give it like a gooey texture, and that's when you know it's ready to be used. Let's start on the actual batter now. So the first step is to melt the butter so that the sugars can be combined and mixed in with it. So just take whatever vegan butter that you chose to use and place it in a pot on medium heat and let that melt for a little while. The next step is to just start adding the sugars to the melted butter. So it doesn't matter if you put in the white sugar first or if you put in the brown sugar first. It really has no effect on the consistency or what happens to the mixture. You just need to make sure to add them each one at a time. Make sure they're fully incorporated into the butter, and then you can go ahead and add the other. So I just added the white sugar first, mixed it all in, and then just now added the brown sugar to the mixture, and just made sure to combine it really well so that there were no dry pieces of sugar left. So this could actually take a little bit of time, not too long, but because of how much butter is left, it might be a little hard to just completely mix in both of those sugars, but it's really important that you get them completely combined. And then once they're all mixed, you just need to turn off the heat and then remove the pan. Once that butter-sugar mixture has kind of had a chance to cool down a little bit, then we're going to just start adding it to a bowl, which is where we're going to mix all of the wet ingredients together. So that includes the vanilla, the flax egg, the applesauce, which will also act as a kind of an egg in this brownie, and then we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of the leftover brewed espresso. So espresso kind of brings out the flavor and chocolatey things. It's not enough that you can taste it, but it's enough that it definitely makes the richness of these brownies stand out. And then once everything is in that bowl, then you just gotta stir it until they're all well combined. And then using a sifter, we're going to start adding in our dry ingredients to the wet mixture. So that includes our flour, make sure it's completely sifted in, and then we're going to add in the baking powder and salt mixture that we had earlier, and then finally our cocoa powder. Now in the sifter you might get some of these chunks. You can just take a spatula or your fingers if they're clean and just kind of smush them through the cracks. Cocoa powder is especially bad about this because it likes to clump together really bad. But it's fine if you don't get it all in there, or worst case scenario, you just turn it over and dump the remaining clumps in. So once everything's been added to the bowl, then you're going to want to just give it a good stir. Be careful when you're stirring though, because stirring determines the consistency of the brownies when they're done. Now these brownies, no matter what you do, are going to always end up a little bit on the fudgier side. So if you like a more cakey brownie, then go ahead and stir more than you see me doing it. But mainly you just want to kind of fold it in, going under with the spatula and bringing it and folding it back over on itself. This next step isn't really necessary, especially if you are looking for more of a cakey texture in your brownie. It's just going to help it be a little fudgier. So if you want, skip melting the chocolate and just throw all of the chocolate into the batter and pop it in the oven. But in my case, I'm going to melt half of that chocolate. And yes, I know you're technically supposed to melt chocolate using a double boiler, but I'm going to throw it in there just because I don't have one. Or you can be less fancy and just put it in a bowl and put it in the microwave and microwave it for 15-second intervals. It's really just up to you and whatever your comfort level in the kitchen is and whatever you just prefer or have on hand. Once that chocolate's melted, you're just going to add it into the bowl with your other ingredients. Now you can see that there's still a few dry bits in that bowl, and that's all going to get mixed together whenever you fold in your chocolate. So you're just going to pour it all in, and then you're going to just give it a few turns with the spatula before you add in your chocolate chunks. Now once that melted chocolate has been well mixed into the batter, then it's just time to add whatever the vegan chocolate chunks you chose into the batter, and then you're just going to give it a few more turns, and then it's ready to be poured into the baking dish. Now for the very last step of all of this, you just got to pour your batter into the baking dish. Again, reminder, make sure you re-grease the sides or grease the pan right before you do this step. Not do what I did and do it at the very beginning and then forget to re-grease your sides. Your brownies will stick to the pan bad. So this brownie batter, as you can see, is a little bit thick, so you just have to make sure you spread it out very well. It kind of likes to stick to itself, so it might be a little bit difficult, but as long as you get it covering the entire pan in one even layer and make sure it's on the sides very well, then you should be good. And then you can just put it in the oven, which should already be preheated, for 40 minutes. And then check it at around 30 or 35 just to make sure they're not getting overcooked. And that is how we make fudgy vegan brownies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Let me know what you think, or if you have any suggestions on vegan or vegetarian recipes you want to see in the future. And I'll see you guys later.